Packard Twin 6 Phaeton 1932. In the automotive market, the marques that suffered the most during the Great Depression were in the luxury car segment that catered entirely to the upper class. Competition became very fierce as luxury brands began dropping prices and offering a wide variety of options just to entice buyers. At the top of the luxury car market was Packard, who introduced some of their greatest classic automobiles during this time. In response to economic downturn and the mounting competition from other marques, Packard introduced their V12 Twin 6 with a classic multi-cylinder large displacement engine, designed for silent running, longevity and the ability to provide oodles of torque so that gear shifting was kept to a minimum. Rated at a very respectable 160 bhp, power was sufficient to propel the quality Packard chassis with authority, irrespective of the size of the coachwork mounted on it. While a wide range of elegant custom bodies were offered, coach building was also brought in-house so that Packard could control cost, quality and design. This allowed Packard to increase margins as well as operating efficiency. Nevertheless, many of the designs were still outsourced to such prominent design studios as Dietrich Incorporated. The V12 Twin 6 was marketed to the few remaining customers of wealth, and continued Packard's tradition of creating large, powerful, stylish and luxurious automobiles. Packard weathered the Great Depression in better form than some other marques because it was in good financial standing and had a good cash position. By the close of the 1930s, Franklin, Marmon, Ruxton, Stutz, Peerless, Duesenberg, Stearns Knight and Pierce Arrow had all gone out of business. The earliest history of this well-balanced and very pretty 12-cylinder Packard remains unclear, but the car is believed to have been delivered new through the Detroit-based Packard branch in September of 1932. From 1956 to 1959, it belonged to David Perry of Brookfield, Wisconsin, and it is believed that the car was still in its original green paint at that time. Dale Bliss, a later owner, was informed by David Perry that he surmised that the Packard was purchased new by someone in the Macy's department store family of New York, possibly R.H. Macy. Unfortunately, when Mr. Bliss spoke with David Perry, 40 years had passed since he owned the car, and he could no longer remember who he had purchased it from. In the winter of 1959, chassis 900,202 was purchased by Ronald Parham of Dallas, Texas. Parham drove the car from Wisconsin to Dallas without any major mishaps. However, he felt that the car needed major attention, so he disassembled the engine and transmission completely and rebuilt them. It was still green when acquired by Parham, but he had it painted maroon and installed burgundy upholstery along with a new top and side curtains. Mr. Parham freely admitted that the restoration was amateur, stating that it was the kind of restoration which was common at the time among early collectors of limited means. It was designed to keep 900,202 a running automobile, as there would otherwise have been the danger that it could have been left derelict and scrapped. We can be thankful that Parham saved this wonderful and rare 12-cylinder convertible for posterity. Parham subsequently sold the car to Bill Jones, an early collector who worked for Charles F. Urschel. Urschel owned the Urschel Oil Company of San Antonio, Texas. He took the car over and retained Bill Jones to oversee a second restoration in 1968, when it was given its present cream over maroon livery. Urschel enjoyed his classic Packard and kept the car until 1983. From 1983 to 1991, it passed through a succession of high-level classic car dealers, each of whom retained 900,202 for shorter periods of time. Urschel sold the car to Dick Barber of San Diego, California, whereupon it went to Don Williams, the famous owner of the Black Hawk collection in Danville, California. In turn, Williams sold the car to Leo Gebhardt, the legendary early collector of Duesenbergs. At one point, Gebhardt was the owner of more than 30 Duesenbergs. In 1991, chassis 900,202 found yet another owner, namely Matteo Trotto, of Shrewsbury, Massachusetts. In 1993, the car appeared in a classic car calendar, and photos for that were taken during Trotto's tenure. In 1991, this grand automobile found another long-term owner. Chassis 900,202 had been consigned to the Leak Antique Automobile Auction in Tulsa, Oklahoma in June of 1991. The car failed to sell on the block, but Dale Bliss, an astute and well-known collector, purchased the car after the auction. The owner agreed to ship it to Bliss residence in Oklahoma City and have Packard expert CEA Leslie inspect and verify all aspects of the car before the purchase was completed. According to Bliss, Leslie had previous knowledge of the car, having seen it at the Hemisphere 68, which was the official 1968 World's Fair, or International Exposition, held in San Antonio, Texas, from 6 April through October 6, 1968. During the fair, Bill Jones had brought Leslie to an airport hangar where the car was stored with Duesenberg. After Leslie had verified the car, Bliss finally purchased it. I owned the car for 22 years, drove it in several car outings, showed it a few times and used it in parades. It never failed, always started very easy and ran great. Chassis 900,202 presents a rare opportunity to acquire a senior Packard with an inviting patina, ready for enjoyable tour work.